Hey guys, it's Kenan, my review for Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. And what Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again is essentially about is basically we center back on the character of Sophie 5 years later, and her mom unfortunately has died, and she is now running the villa all on her own, and she is basically awaiting for the grand reopening, and she's hoping that everyone does appear because there's a lot of things that she realizes that she can't do on her own, and she really needs them to help her out. Meanwhile, we flash back to the 1970s when Donna was fresh out of college and basically, made the villa what it is today, and we see how she met all the men. We basically get all of the, hidden secrets of how everything did go down, and that's really all there is to say. So, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. This film, I was very, very 50-50 about. I mean, on one hand, I wasn't necessarily opposed to the idea of getting a Mamma Mia sequel, but I was never really on board with it either, and especially when rewatching the first movie, I was not at all looking forward to this. It looked really unnecessary. It definitely did not seem like it was going to be anything that amazing or anything that would redeem the first one and something I would really enjoy. To my surprise, however, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again is one of the biggest turnarounds I have seen in a very long time. This is actually a very solid sequel that actually does a good job of improving on things from the first one, and we're just getting into right now, starting off with the cast. And look, I'm not trying to say that the acting is, like, Oscar-worthy or something in this one, but I will say I think everyone really did do a very good job here. Much better than the first movie, and that's mainly because of its star here. The first one, yes, Meryl Streep did do a very good job, but that is nothing compared to the work that Lily James does in this film, who, honestly, I think really does rival Streep's work in the first one. I think she was very well casted here. Not only does she give us the best parts of Donna, but she also builds on that character. We see how inspirational she really was and how optimistic she really was at life. How even when she goes to the villa and things are falling apart, she still really wants to renovate. She knows it could be something great. We also see the more carefree side of her, and it comes across in a way that is very likable. It's not like Donna, where she at some parts of that film was very irritating and annoying. This one is actually a lot more likable. You see what she went through, you get more insight into what her, background really was and things like that, and I just really love seeing that. And after this film, I've seen Lily James in a lot of stuff, but she is definitely going to become a star. This is easily one of the best performances I've seen by her. I think this entire film is anchored by her performance, and I think she did an incredible job here. I really loved her in this film. And then Amanda Seyfried in this movie as Sophie. If you guys remember, I hated this character in the first movie. I found her so infuriating. Here she is a lot better. She's older now. She's trying to manage the hotel on her own. But she doesn't have her mother by her side. And you really do feel that loss very well. I thought, she really did, especially when we would cut between her and James, she really did capture a lot of the same qualities that that character did have. You really do see the struggle that she's going through, and I thought she had better chemistry with everyone. Seyfried has really improved as an actress since the first movie, and when we aren't focusing on James, it still is very strong because we do have Seyfried, and I thought she did do a very good job in this film. I really did enjoy her a lot more here than I did in the first one. As far as the new cast members go, I thought, honestly, everyone was very well casted here. Jessica Kenan Wynn and Alexa Davies were shockingly good as young Rosie and young Tanya. I mean, especially young Tanya was, like, scary accurate. She was so similar to Baranski in this film, and I was honestly shocked. I thought the three of them worked so well together. Some of the best scenes in the movie are just these three hanging out, and it's what I wanted the first one to be. Are there moments where they're a little bit annoying? Yes, but in this, they're actually young adults here, and it works a lot better because they're young 20-somethings than when 50-year-old women are doing it. And I just thought as a whole, these three worked very well together, and I really did enjoy their presence in the film overall. Also, I do want to give a shout out to the three men here. Nothing extraordinary, but I will say I thought the strongest here was in fact Josh Dillon as young Bill, and it honestly does make me a little bit upset that Donna ends up with Sam and not with Bill, mainly because her and young Bill I thought were dynamite together. I mean, he comes in and immediately you can just see the chemistry just ooze up on the screen. It's not like she didn't have it with Jeremy Davis, because she did. I just felt that her and Josh Dillon worked so well together that it did make me just a little bit upset that she did not end up with Bill. I mean, some of the best scenes in this movie are just those two interacting, and I really did enjoy their interactions here overall. As far as the rest of the cast goes, how are they here? Well, I will say, unlike the first movie, I think everyone really does do a very solid job. I did definitely enjoy everyone here. All the performances from the first one that were good, they're still very good here. Julie Walters and Christine Baranski, I actually didn't mind in this one. I thought they actually were actually tolerable here. Nothing amazing, but I thought they definitely did tone them down a bit, and I think it worked a lot better. Of course, a lot of people are going to ask about Cher in this movie. Not in this movie a lot, like really at all, but for what she has, I do think she did do a good job. Just the ensemble as a whole worked very well together. They really did seem like they were all into it. Nobody seemed like they were sleepwalking and they weren't really into the film like the first one. Everyone really seemed like they were having a great time, and you just get a big smile on your face really watching these guys, and I think everyone really did a really fantastic job here. But now let's get to the directing and the writing, because that really, I think, is the biggest improvement over these films. The directing especially is a lot better here. This film is not trying to be this cheesy sitcom that the first one was. Is it still a little hokey? Oh yeah, definitely. I'm not gonna try to, I'm not gonna try to suggest that this is not as corny as the first one, because it definitely is. There's a lot of really silly moments in this one, but I think it works a lot better, mainly because they really have dialed down the more lifetimey moments of the first movie. This one is much more, it's much more sentimental. Like, it does have a lot of fun moments, but it is a lot more bittersweet as well, because Donna has died, and that tone actually does work very well here. There's a much more confident tone, and I think that really does bode well for this film overall. You can tell that they know what works and they know what doesn't, and I thought that Ol Parker's directing seemed like he had directed this before. Like, sure, he didn't direct the first one, but it definitely seemed like he did. I mean, he seemed like he knew exactly what he was doing. I thought that the comedy hit a lot harder in this one. The dramatic moments were very strong. Drama especially, I thought they really revved up on, and I really did enjoy the directing here. I definitely did get that fun that they wanted me to, and that's something I really did enjoy. But I think the best element of this entire film as a whole is the script, which the screenplay in this film is basically exactly what I wanted the first movie to be. Now, I'm not going to try to say that this is a grandiose, very complex story, because it's not. In fact, it's even lower stakes than the first one was. But I think, honestly, that really is what what really elevates this film overall, is the fact that there's not a huge overarching story. Because in the first one, it was centered on who her father is, and we didn't really get to see any of that. Here, however, it's much better because they're telling you the events of what happened in the first one. They just do it a lot better here. In the first one, things felt very disconnected. Like, we knew that Donna had a past with these three men. We just didn't know the hows and the whys. And here, we actually do get the hows and the whys. And I thought the 70s timeline really was the strongest part of this entire movie. We get to see what Donna actually went through. We get to see, okay, this is why she liked Harry. This is why she chose Bill. This is why, she chose Sam. We actually understood why she went after these three men, what these three men did for her, the impact that she left on them, and I thought that was honestly very strong. I really did enjoy what they ended up doing there. And then when you get to the B side of things, which, trust me, that definitely is the B storyline of the movie, as much as the trailer tries to tell you otherwise, the 1970s is the core of this film. Like, that really is where the film is at its strongest. The B side of the film isn't bad necessarily, it is a bit of a step down, but they do actually do a very good job of showing the parallels between Sophie and her mother. For example, there'll be an instance where Donna is, in the hotel and it's breaking apart and, you know, the windows aren't working and things like that. And then you see Sophie and what the hotel has actually become. And it just really feels like we go on a journey with these characters that we didn't get in the first one. It really annoys me that we didn't have these flashbacks in the first movie. I feel like if they were in the first movie would be a lot stronger, and it really works very well here. I really loved the story that they were telling in this movie. The whole film basically works as like honoring Donna's memory, and including her backstory I thought worked very well here. Again, not a ton going on the B side of things. You know, you have Sophie and she's without her mom. She's also without Sky for reasons I won't divulge into. They're in a bit of a fight and things like that. But I just felt that the story in general was a lot stronger here, mainly because there wasn't as much going on, and I thought they did a really good job with that. Also, I have to say, something I really was not expecting is a lot of the loose ends that the first movie gave you, they actually do a good job of tying up here. For example, you remember at the end of the first movie, that really weird scene between Rosie and Bill where she's suddenly going after him and wanting to be with him in a romantic way? This one actually acknowledges that, and the way they did it I was not expecting, but it actually made me appreciate that storyline, and I never thought I'd say that. That's one of the weirdest scenes in the first movie, and it actually made it work now. Now it makes sense why it's there, and I actually really did enjoy that. And look, is the second half of this movie necessary? Not really. We really did not need the present storyline. You know, you could have cut that out and just had the 1970s stuff. But when we're cutting back and forth, it actually is pretty effective. And I feel like if it was removed, the movie would kind of lose something. Like, I definitely could have seen a whole movie of just Lily James in the 1970s. Like I said, that is when the movie's at its strongest for sure. But I do think that the Seyfried part of things is still quite a little bit strong, and I think that's mainly because of just the connection to the past stuff, and I thought that was definitely some of the best stuff in this film for sure. That being said, not every single thing works in this movie. It's one of those films where they are trying to see what hits and what doesn't. Because this one isn't based on a Broadway musical, they can kind of do whatever they want, and there definitely are some weird things they do here. One particular thing with Stellan Skarsgard's character that I just thought was very strange overall. I don't know why they had to take that direction. But the one thing that did bother me a little bit is what they end up doing with Cher's character. Cher is only in this movie for the last 15 or so minutes. If you're expecting a lot of her, she's really not. And what she had, I thought, was very good. It's just the setup for her, I thought, actually was very strong. They acknowledge that she's very much disowned them and that, you know, she's very absent in Donna's life. But in the flashbacks, we only hear about this once. And because it was such a major thing on the, you know, present side of things, I really thought that we'd see a little bit more in the past. And unfortunately, we just didn't. Now, I understand her mom wasn't around a lot and she didn't really want much to do with Donna. But hell, you could just given me like a phone call or her mom, you know, disowning her when she's pregnant, because we heard about that in the first movie, and we really don't see that here, and I did feel that was a missed opportunity, unfortunately. Also, as much as I did like her encounters with the three men, I'm not gonna lie, it is actually very rushed, and I do think, especially with Harry, it felt like they met up and then they had sex, and I just needed more on that side of things. It is well done, I'm not gonna lie. I think they do a good job of setting up her interactions with the three men, but I just felt that it was a little bit rushed there, and I think we could have delved a little bit deeper, especially when we're nearing the end of that part of the story. I really felt like they could have given us a little bit more on Donna's side of things. And again, maybe that's just because of how much I enjoyed Lily James, but I just wanted a little bit more there, and I just felt we didn't get it. A lot of the characters also in the first movie that are underused, they're still underused in this one. Colin Firth is completely wasted in this film as Harry. He has next to nothing to do. He has a few moments here and there, but they really don't do much of anything with him. And Sky, in the first movie, you know, he was just a guy who was making a website for the hotel. In this one, he's learning the ways of the hotel, and he honestly is even more wasted in this one. And I understand Dominic Cooper is a much more recognizable actor than he was in the first movie, but here he is even more wasted. And I was honestly really surprised, considering how like I said, how much of a bigger name he is now, that they really do kind of waste him here. But other than that, I really enjoyed the story a lot more than I expected to, and there were quite a few things that, like I said, they did tie up that I really wasn't expecting, especially when we cut from the 1970s to the present. I thought it was very strong in that way. The cinematography I thought was even better in this film. The transitions especially were really great, and just the look of the island. I mean, it's really great the way they did that, and I definitely did enjoy the cinematography a lot. And then, of course, the music. That was one of my biggest complaints with the first film. The songs, they just did not organically fit into the story, and I'm happy to report that is the complete opposite here. I'm actually really glad that they reused a lot of the songs that they did in the first movie, because many of the songs that felt out of place in the first one, they use them here, and they feel like they actually have a purpose, and they actually feel like they're a lot more integral to what's going on. Like Mamma Mia, for instance. When Donna sang it in the first one, this was her reaction to seeing the three men in that barn, and it just didn't really feel like a natural reaction. But here, you see that she's at a very low point. She's just found out that Sam is engaged, and she really isn't, you know, the two girls are trying to cheer her up, and she really isn't in the mood, and this is basically their way of cheering her up. Her basically, you know, they tell her to sing how she feels, and it just feels like it goes a lot more with the story, and things like Dancing Queen and Waterloo, they really did improve upon. And the soundtrack I thought was so much stronger in this movie. The singing here I really loved. And for those who are worried, Pierce Brosnan literally has one solo in this movie, and it's only for about 30 seconds. So if you're worried about that, it's not in the film that much. They definitely heard the criticisms, and I was very happy about that. It actually did seem like they took into account the many faults that the first one really did have, and I was not expecting that. I really was just expecting them to do what everyone wanted, and they did, but they also did it for the non-fans of the film, and I think that's something that's going to please a lot of people. So the soundtrack for me, I thought was fantastic. There's one song they cut out of this film, and I don't really know why, and that is I Wonder. It's on the soundtrack. It's one of my favorites, but it was cut out of the film, and I really don't think it needed to be. Also, Cher's song in the movie, Fernando, honestly, that subplot could have been cut out entirely. It's not really necessary. You really did not need it to be there. I understand they wanted to give Cher like a really big song, but that's really just a nitpick. There really isn't too much to complain about there. I will say not all of the songs do work here. There's one number in particular that just felt very music video-ish, and a lot of the songs in the first one did. This one, not really. They felt like they really did fit in the story. There's one number that's here, and I really like the song, and I think it does work well, but what they end up doing with it felt like a music video, and it did take me out of it at times, I'm not gonna lie. Something else I thought that improved immensely in this sequel was the choreography. In the first one, I thought the choreography was so amateur and just really simplistic, and it just really wasn't anything impressive. And here, I think they really stepped it up. It's a lot more fluid, it's a lot more well-timed, and it really does seem like this was, you know, actually, you know, like professionally made. In fact, I could see this one as more of a Broadway show than the original, just based on the choreography alone, such as things like Waterloo or Dancing Queen. I think they really did go all out with it, and definitely those 10 years definitely very much did show how much passion was in it, and the choreography I think very much does echo that. Also, the editing I really did enjoy here. I thought the film was so well edited. Honestly, it's some of the best, it's some of the toughest editing to do when you're cutting between the two timelines, but like I said, they did it so seamlessly, and things like just Donna laying on a bed, cut to Sophie laying on a bed, it just works so well. It felt like we really were telling this really fascinating story, and I really did love that. People have compared this to The Godfather Part 2, and it's not on that level, but it is in terms of the editing. They did a very good job in cutting the transitions, and I really did love the way they did that. Overall, guys, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, it's just everything I really wanted the first one to be. Like I said, the stakes are a lot lower, and the storytelling is a lot looser here, but I think that greatly benefits the film overall. A lot of the obnoxious elements are really gone here. A lot of the characters that you didn't like in the first film, they're not used as much. Tanya and Rosie especially are very much toned down. They have stuff to do in the film, but it's not just three, middle-aged women just cackling every 5 seconds. That's not really what this movie is. They're trying to get us more into the story. We feel like we actually know who these characters are more. Are they, completely multi-layered? Are they a lot more fleshed out? No, but there's a little bit more to them, and now to the point where I actually do care about what's going on in this story. I enjoyed the music more. I enjoyed the story more. I just thought overall, this is everything that the first movie really wanted to be. And please, don't give us a Mamma Mia 3. This ends things perfectly. And the ending of this movie, honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, had me near tears. It's very effective, and I can't believe I'm actually saying that, but the way the movie ends, it just gives you this sense of finality and this sense of closure that you're just not really expecting, and I really loved where they ended up going with it. They could have ended it on this really big bombastic finale, and they actually do it in a way that is something a little bit more sentimental and a little bit more toned down and just a little bit it's more streamlined, like most of this movie is, and I really loved where they end up going with it. The finale, honestly, might be one of my favorite endings to any movie I've seen this year. I really love the way that the movie ended, and as a fan of musicals, this is much closer to what I really want to see. It's not like it was insanely compelling. It's not like every character, is like amazing now or anything. It's just a lot better than what the first movie really did give us, and it's one of the biggest turnarounds I can see I can really think of for any movie in a while. I mean, there really aren't too many times where I hate the first movie and I end up almost loving the second one, but that really did happen here. I really did enjoy Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again a lot. It's a lot more fun than I expected it to be, and I think even for fans of, people that weren't fans of the original, they are actually going to enjoy this one. It's just a lot better of a film overall. And I think for people who weren't even fans of the first movie, they still will enjoy this one. Considering how much I hated it, I was very surprised how much I really did enjoy this one overall. The songs are a lot more catchy, the performances are a lot better. Just, it's overall a much better film. And I am going to give Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, overall, a B-. Does this film retcon a lot of the things the first one set up? Yes. And is it completely necessary? I wouldn't really say that. Like, you could have had the first film and not really had this one, but at the same time, I think this is still a much better film that I just really enjoyed overall, and it's easily one of the biggest surprises of the year. I can't believe I'm saying that this is better than The Equalizer 2, but hell, here we are. But either way, guys, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought of Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again overall. Left your thoughts in it. Definitely really enjoyed this film a lot. But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys in my next video, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.